that's not signed in. We're gonna take this back, please. And then just bring it back to me, I will put your name on it. Okay, we're gonna be doing a couple of things here that we're able to do. Okay, so what we want to be able to do here is a couple of things. We have an audit area and I have my regular area here. Have you registered for this, Mackenzie, have you registered for this section?
Yes, I just got it.
You got it, okay. So if we go into the regular section, go in with me because we have a couple of different sections here. I have the BT E210 or KY, is that correct? I'm going to go into the KY. I'm there. Okay, so we're going to go into the KY, and I have the course documents in KY. Oh, I went into the audit area. I'm in the audit area of KY. So what's the difference between the audit area of KY and the regular KY?
We can edit the audit area.
You as students can edit the audit area. And what else? What is your name?
Vincent.
Vincent. And what else? And basically edit, you can then put up all your homework, you put all of your assignments up there. Can you add additional students?
Mm-hmm.
And you can add additional students. So right now, let me see here, is there anyone in anyone's group that's dropped? Okay, so my group one is Peter, Vincent, and Dan. Where are you? Okay, Peter and
Peter's not here.
what?
Peter's not here.
Yeah, he sent me an email. So let me do this before we do this. Let me go back. I'm going to go to Blackboard. I'm going to go into our regular section, which is KY. And this is good for you to know too. Go into your regular section now, go into KY, go into course documents. And what do you see in course documents? I'm going to try to live stream this class on a number of different ways. And for instance, Peter just sent me an email saying that he wasn't feeling well, he has the flu. And what did I tell you? You don't want people with the flu here, and I don't want people with the flu here, and they don't want people with the flu. So the beauty here, when we think about collaborations, they can come in, listen to the class live, and participate. So I'm going to go to live stream. I'm going to go to build content. I'm going to go to web link. I'm going to put in the date, which is what?
31st.
Wednesday, right? What? January 31st, 2018, right?
Yeah.
What? Pardon? Anyone say anything? Okay, and now I'm going to paste. What were you doing? What are we listening to? Was it me? Okay, and then I'm going to paste here. Also, I'll put the link so sometimes you want to just see the link. Okay? And now what am I going to do? I'm going to submit. And how can you tell if it works?
Try it.
Huh?
Try it.
Try it. Beautiful. Extra credit, right? Always when we're going to take, because what I'm always telling you is what? When we try something, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're seeing it, right? So is it working?
Yes.
And what are you seeing?
Last TG1.2 Discuss.
Is it, so if I look at those, and if I even look at it, if I open in a new window, what are you seeing? I don't even know if it's live or not, okay. So hopefully, what I'm gonna ask those people that are not here, they were saying, I'll get my information. What I want is what I say, we're eating our own dog food. So we're not sure if it's going to work there. So we know that this is always the live streams, and after it's live streamed, it will be then archived, so you can see it. If you're not able to do it, you can review it again. Everybody with me? So we have that part. I have assignments where you should have, does everybody have quiz 1, has done quiz 1 and TG1? Any problems with that? If you've been here the first time, it's not possible to do that, right? You didn't have telepathy or something that you were able to do it. But everyone else, check to see on your grade center if those grades, can you do me a favor? Check on your grade center to see if your grades are there, because we had some problems from the Blackboard support about switching. Yeah.
Only one of mine is there.
Only one of yours is there, and the same. So we had some problems that were erasing it. So which one is not there?
Mine, chapter 1 quiz.
The first one.
I think so.
What's up? No.
My
I don't know.
TG.
Your TG. Okay, so let me just see here. Let me go into TG. I just want to make sure. Edit the test options. Okay, make a link available is yes. Right now, let me make this. I'm going to make for these first ones, because there were issues here, I'm going to make the first 3 attempts. Make the link available, and let me even change this to 3. I'm going to make this 3 attempts, and I'll tell you why. Because they were messing with our part. Okay. Let me go back. Let me go back to the audit area. Am I in K1? I am. And at this point, what do I have? So many people responding. It sounds like it's me, right? Is this our class, right? So I have Peter, and then I have Josette, and then I have Luca's group, and Tommy, you have group 4. We're going to be doing, are you there? Okay, so what we're going to be doing is, you remember I talked about something called SEO? What's SEO? Search what? Search, what's SEO? Search engine optimization, right? I don't even want to read your shirt, right? I don't even want to read your shirt. Okay, so search engine optimization, we want to do, notice the cameras are facing this way, okay? So they're not even doing it on yours, right? So we have search engine optimization, and what does that mean? It means a way in which we can get up in the search engines to the very top. So we're going to try something this semester. We're going to do research to work on it to get ourselves up on the search engines when we do our projects up to the top. In order to do that, we're going to be doing what also using phone numbers. So anybody hear of Google Voice? Google Voice is a virtual number where you're having it. So Tommy, do you have your phone? So get out your phone, and what I want you to do, I want you to take my watch, and you can just go out here, and you can speak to the other Dr. Rush here, and he'll just give you, you'll just have to give him a code back, okay? So you can take my phone, you can walk out so you don't disturb anybody. And then,
He's gonna give me a code?
yeah, he'll talk to you, okay? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get then a virtual number, and Amir and Jesse have already done that, where we'll have a virtual number, and we'll attach that virtual number to, for instance, a website, and we'll try to then, based on some research we're doing, we'll try to see if we can get ourselves where we may not even be listed in Google, or we're on page 10, to see if we can increase our visibility to be on page 1 and hopefully be close to number 1. And that is organically. What do we mean by organically in search engines? Anybody know? It's called organic. Have you heard about that, Jesse? Okay, good. Why do I say good? Because I always want somebody to come back with something new. There's called organic search And then there's called paid search. So all of you go to Google. You all know how to get to Google, right? Let me even just see here. And for instance, let me just do something else. Let's just type in insurance. I type in the word insurance. You can type in, basically, I'm just using the word insurance. What do you see on the top? What? It says ads, right? So you see that to the left, it says ads. So do you think that's an organic search or a paid search? Paid, right? So what companies do, how do you think, how much does it cost you to go onto YouTube? You.
Free.
Free. How much does it cost you to set up a channel?
Free.
Free. How much does it cost you to set up a Gmail account?
Free.
Free. So Google is a publicly traded company. Right now it's Alphabet and so forth. It's a publicly traded company. So how do you think they make any revenue? We're all supposed to be in business, right? So after a while you can give out certain things free. How do they get their revenue? What is one of their revenue streams?
Advertising.
Advertising, right? Advertising on their search. So these are ads, and if you think about it, these are ads, but below this, right, if I go below, what are these? You see the word ad in it, next to it? No, they are then what? Organic searches. And what's valuable, what do you want to do? Pay money or not money? Payment to have it free. Plus, a lot of times when people are searching, a lot of times people don't first press on the ads because what do they think? That it was paid, so it didn't come up organically as relevant. And that's what I do, is I usually go to something, if I'm looking at a topic, not the paid ones, but I go to the organic ones. So what we're going to be doing in the class, we're going to try to do new research, and I'm telling you together and see does it work. People pay a lot of money to get their, whether they're paying someone just to get them the right tags, or they're trying to pay. So we're going to try an organic search. So as part of that, my organic search, my idea is also to have a phone number attached to it. So for instance, if we were going to do, remember we were talking about last semester, we were talking about a demo lab, creating a demo lab where we can, did you finish?
Yeah.
It was easy. Did it hurt?
No.
It didn't hurt. Okay, so one of the things here, in the demo lab, so what we're going to try to do is combine setting up domain names, matching our phone numbers. So like, 1-800-Flowers, right? 1-800-Mattress or something, that it's, what's their phone number, what's their website, that you combine them together. We're going to see if the kind of the vanity numbers, if the ways in which you do will help us in terms of getting up in the search engines. So we're trying now to do the Google Voice, and what they're trying to do with the Google Voice here is I'm going to match my Google Voice with my Gmail and see if we can do it. So that's why I've kind of taken individuals here and tried to put those in, and then we'll be able to do it. And then later on, maybe we'll create like a demo lab where we'll demonstrate different technologies that you're interested in. And each of you then can review your different technologies and see how's that going to work, and then we can get in, we can even then spread that to the world at different places. We have the demo lab at the University of Miami. We can have demo labs throughout the world. And people that want to know about certain products or certain ways to do things can just call, or they can see that, or we can do broadcasting. That's why I wanted you to do the broadcasting and documentation. So at least we've learned something today. What else am I going to cover today is I'm going to continue with collaboration. And methodologies. For documentation. presentation. And you know what, Amir and Jesse, what I'd like you to do now is to look, you know, I'm doing the YouTube Live, and every time I've had Eden, anybody remember she was sitting here? She was transcribing for me. So she said tonight, what did she say? I can't come. So what's one alternative for her to do? Tommy, what's an alternative? Eden wasn't able to come tonight to transcribe.
She could either listen to it later.
Well, she could listen to it live if she can't just physically come here. She's not feeling well, feeling enough, or she doesn't want to infect somebody. She can listen live or
Transcribe now.
now or later. She could transcribe. What else could she do? And these are one of the things that I'd like you to look at, and especially you can even look at it tonight, Jesse and Amir, is look at what YouTube does, is they do built-in transcription, machine transcription. So what I'd like you to do is, all our videos, at least we could have YouTube transcribe it first via machine, and then have a human, right, like Eden, go ahead and just check it. A lot of times will be easier. So check how you would do it, right, on how you would see, even going to some of the videos in your channels here, to see how you can then, did you know Google will allow you to do that? It has they're trying to do machine learning, and what's machine learning is basically listening and seeing if they can interpret what to text. So it's a voice to text machine learning. So we can take all our videos first and pass it through and let Google do the machine learning first. What I want to teach you is let the machine do the operations it can do best. And we as humans can add on to it. Everybody do it, that our work can be more, the tedious work can be done by the machine, and the more interesting work can be done by us. And sometimes, for instance, how many are finance people? Okay? One of the things we're going to be doing a lot of finance and what we call fintech. The fintech is basically saying, hey, this is going to be digital. Some of these processes that have been done by humans will be done by machines. And then you say, hey, then why am I going into finance? Am I not going to have a job? Well, some jobs will change. Like robo-advisor. Anybody hear about that? Who's heard about a robo-advisor? Anybody hear about wealth management advisors? Right? Some people that give it advice. Well, now they have machines. You go ahead and answer questions, and they will give you advice on what to invest in. But how do they know that? It has to be done a lot of times also by humans writing rules. So it may be switching that you may use part of it as robo-advisors. Another part may be that you'll be dealing with some of the clients, and they'll be doing the robo-advisor, and you'll be writing some of the rules. You got it? Okay, so we got that part. So we'll be looking at methodology and documentation, and I have invited, who was supposed to do the blockchain? There's supposed to be a group here looking at blockchain, right? Did you look at it? Do you have a presentation, or what have you done?
I mean, I have points.
You have what?
Like key points.
Oh, key points, great. So what I've invited, what is your name again? Isabel. What I've invited is another person that's written and giving seminars on blockchain. Do you mind? He's coming tonight. I've invited a guest to come tonight to join us to talk about blockchain. So it's nice. So you can basically correct him, right? But basically, no, I'm joking. You basically, what you can do is join in the conversation, and we can be more intelligent in it. So if you see somebody, you know, sometimes people don't show up, but I'm just saying, I've invited him today to talk about it. And in a couple of weeks, I've invited someone else that's created, and this is interesting, especially for you, Jesse. He's created a platform for blockchain that end users can write their own rules without knowing coding. So he has a group of programmers that is writing the interface in the platform So for instance, what's your major, Isabel?
Finance.
Finance. So for instance, you wanted to write some rules and you weren't an expert programmer, you could write the rules and set up your rules and this. So I've invited him as well. So it's kind of interesting. And he's also working globally. He has a group in St. Petersburg, Russia, where they're doing a lot of the programming and they're doing a lot of the marketing here in Miami. So it'd be interesting, those of you, we have such an international group here that we can proceed. So we'll discuss blockchain as well. This is kind of interesting too, just while I'm just in the insurance, everybody, this is Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, and Jamie Dimon. Anybody hear about them? Who's heard about them? What are they doing? Anybody know what they're doing? Who's heard about, everybody's heard of, Jeff Bezos is who?
Amazon.
CEO of Amazon, right? And who is Warren Buffett? Basically, it has a large fund. What kind of he's an investor who's making billions, right? One of the top investors in the world, right? Mr. Buffett. And how many companies does he have underneath him? What companies do you know? Anybody hear of Geico? Right, the insurance company. He basically has a number of companies that he invests in. So we got that. And who's Jamie Dimon? Everybody looking, when you say like this, what do I make you do? Huh, Vincent?
Search it.
Search it, so search it. So what is Jamie Dimon? What's Jamie Dimon?
CEO, JP Morgan.
CEO of JP Morgan. So we got JP Morgan, we got Amazon, and we got the largest investor probably in the world, right? One of the largest ones. What are they doing together? Breaking into health. And they're gonna basically say, we're gonna start with our own employees, hundreds of thousands of employees, right? With all those companies, we're gonna use them, and we're gonna try to do what? Shrink the cost of healthcare. And when that was announced, what happened to all the health insurance? The health insurance companies, that after the announcement, you think it went up or down, their stocks? Huh? Down. Because, think about it. Amazon, what are they doing? Just trying to go in and disrupt. They bought Whole Foods, right? Think about it. Now they're going to go into healthcare. What is it? Efficient healthcare? Of course, especially in the United States, it's a disaster, right? In terms of efficiencies and costs, right? So in terms of delivery, so he's getting in. We get Warren Buffett, who has a lot of money behind him, and also Jamie Dimon, that can do it. So they'll start with those companies, and what will they do? Spread out to different healthcare. And they'll be doing the same thing as they did probably with AWS. What's AWS? What's AWS?
Amazon Web Services.
Amazon Web Services, and what the heck is that, and who cares? Look at all these ads, AWS, and notice, when I do AWS, just type it in, what's in the beginning here, paid or is it paid searches? Yeah. Amazon comes up first, who's second? Microsoft. Why is Microsoft in AWS? It says Amazon, the A stands for Amazon, right? So what the heck is Microsoft doing second?
Because they want to like compete with them and get their name out there also.
Because Microsoft has a service too called Azure, A-Z-U-R-E. We'll talk about that today, but basically that's what? What is your name again?
Nico.
Nico. Have you heard about Amazon Web Services?
Amazon Web Services, yes. Sure.
What is it?
They have, they do clouds, they have their cloud, then they have this thingy that they host, they host products for you to sell, so they do all the
Fulfillment.
the shipping.
Okay,
everything.
this is it. Amazon started out doing what?
Selling books.
Selling books electronically, and they got to be pretty good on electronically doing that. They had all their computers, and they got to know how to do that really well. how to then order. Then you started selling books, selling other things. Who's ever bought an Amazon, right? We've all basically bought an Amazon. Is it easy? Yes. Does it keep track? Yes. Does it make recommendations to you using machine learning? Since it knew how to do that very well, it said, let me start doing another product. And my product is to sell the back end, and the back end means all, basically the infrastructure, to other companies. So they developed a product called Amazon Web Services. So when you start out, who's my entrepreneurs? Anybody from entrepreneurship, right? When you start out with a company, instead of hiring an entire IT group, and how many customers do you have in the beginning is 0, right? You want to set up a website. Is what they say to you is, I'll host your website and I'll take care of your services, and they call it on the cloud, and I will expand based on your growth. So you just pay us how much you need, rather than buying a little and then you have to buy new computers, new software, keep on going. What they say is you buy on demand. Everybody with me? So what their service is, their most profitable, and have you seen Amazon's stock? Going through the roof, right? And why? Not because of selling electronically to you, but their most profitable product is this. Amazon Web Service, selling to other people's space, and they call it on the cloud, but what is it? On their computers. And how do you gain access to their computers? Via what? A browser, via the internet. And they've created an entire product set of anything that you want to do in IT, information technology. You can do it over the web. And they have their servers all over the world. So who came up? So once they became profitable, who do you think that next person was Microsoft said, let me get into this as well, right? And the majority, if we look around here, the majority of computers here are Macs, not Microsoft. It lost their edge on this. How many people have a Microsoft phone? Right, no phone, right? They lost that whole marketplace, right? So where are they now? But if you look at Microsoft stock, it is also going up. So you say, hey, they lost market share on their laptops. They've lost market share on their entire PCs. They've gotten out of completely out of the phone business. And it's a mobile technology information. Well, how did they make money? They make money now. They have a cloud service too called Azure, A-Z-U-R-E. So if you type in Azure, A-Z-U-R-E, I have an ad here, and guess who you have there? Microsoft even put their ad there, right? And who came right after that? Who's after that? IBM. Anybody hear of IBM before? IBM now is big on what? What's the biggest thing everybody knows about IBM now? Watson, right? That's an AI, or artificial intelligence, product that tries to aid people looking at large, big data, finding patterns in it, and giving advice. They're really big in healthcare, in finance, and a number of different ways that they're giving that product Watson. And guess what? If they put themselves, if they pay, right? Because if you said Azure, they wouldn't come up number 2 normally. So what do you think that means to you? Phil, what does that mean to you? What would that tell you? If they're they pay to be number 2. They pay probably to be number 1, but
IBM is probably a competitor with Microsoft.
IBM is also having a cloud platform, right? And Oracle, anybody hear about Oracle? Oracle's a big database. Guess what Oracle's trying to do that? But probably Amazon, and then there's Microsoft. Anybody hear of Google before? Does Google, you think, have a lot of servers around the world? They have basically all around the world, they have big server farms of these big, basically, these big warehouses, right? Sizes of football fields of computers. And guess what? They're trying to get into that business too. But compare Amazon, if you take all their competitors together except Amazon, they don't come up to what Amazon is right now. Amazon is really the leader here, but everybody said they make so much money or they're profitable that you can think about the Amazon that's everywhere. Their profitability, most of their margins, right, come from their cloud services. So that's where we want to go here. So if I go back to Amazon, you can see on Amazon and their products here. You remember we talked about hardware? Everybody went through that. Most of you did that Tech Guide 1 about hardware. All that hardware here, you think about hardware on your laptop, right? That's hardware. You think about hardware is on your phone, right, or your tablet device. But when you want to serve the World Wide Web, you need large computing power. And look under compute. It's basically, if I have large data sets, let's think about personalized medicine. Who's in healthcare, right? Tommy? So if I think about personalized medicine, what does that mean? That what I can do is when you go to a doctor, Isabel, when you go to the doctor and we have to see, or if I go to the doctor and I say, you know what, I'm very stressed out. I don't know if it's the students or it's the environment or it's just me, I have a lot of stress. And so what does a psychiatrist do? They want to give me some kind of magic potion or some kind of maybe drugs, or I feel like, you know, I'm really high and then I'm really depressed and I'm really high and I'm really depressed, and it sounds like maybe I have bipolar, right? And if I have bipolar, you know what they end up doing is they kind of guess on what kind of drug they should give me. And then they're going to kind of guess, play around and see what is the dosage I'm supposed to do. But now what they're starting to do is they're seeing for certain, by the Genome Project or my DNA, what they're able to do is to see my set of genes and see where I am vulnerable. And basically based on that, what they're planning to do is personalize my medicine based on my own background and my own physiology and my own genomics. You think that's a lot of data? Huge amounts of data. And that huge amounts of data then, in order to do that, you can see there on compute and elastic, it means that I can take a number of CPUs. And what's a CPU?
Processing.
It's the processor, right? It's the central processing unit. And each of you have one central processing unit in your machine. And sometimes we do something that's called a cluster. Anybody know what a cluster is? Cluster computing? Cluster computing is taking all your machines, clustering them or putting them together, and all of your CPUs will work on one problem. Rather than each of you working on your individual program. That's a cluster. So what they're doing in elastic computing is they're containing this and expanding. What's the next one? Did we talk about in storage? We have what kind of storage? We have storage that you have, basically what kind of storage do we have? We can have, basically I can have like a flash drive. What other storage can I have that you know of?
Cloud storage.
What?
Cloud storage.
I have cloud storage. What other? Nico?
RAM, sorry.
Right, I have RAM storage, random access memory storage. What else do I have? I have SSDs, right, as storage. I can have hard drives as storage. And notice their storage is basically, we'll have it on the cloud. So what's the advantage of having storage on the cloud, Phil?
Doesn't take up any space on your computer.
One, it doesn't take any space, and what's number two, what's more important?
You can access it anywhere.
You get access to that.
And what else?
Even if you like break your computer, you still got it.
And what else? Think about those large genome projects, that was DNA. Could your laptop, could your Mac hold that? You know, when we're talking about trillions of data items, no way. So what can we do is we can pass it on. What else can I do with storage? Is I can expand. So I can do, let's say, a project. So let's say the medical school does a project from January till April. And then we're finished with the project. They only had to pay from January to April. And let's say they get some more data samples. What's the advantage? Is that they can expand their storage capacity. So I can shrink and I can go forward. And it can be like a utility. You think about databases they have. You think about in here analytics. Who's heard of analytics before? Forecasting, machine learning. Their analytics, rather than doing it here, we're just going to do it in the cloud. And what we're going to do in this class, we're also going to do analytics. Okay, so you can see a number of those. You get the idea that all the things that we even went through when we were talking about it in terms of hardware, they were talking about kind of individual hardware. I don't have to purchase that hardware. Basically, it's a way in which I rent it, you can think about it, and I rent on the demand. So it's almost like the utilities, right? That you don't have to tell in advance how much electricity you're going to do. If it's really hot and you have a lot of friends come over, right? I'll just pay more, right? And then if you're not there for 2 months, right, I'm going to pay less because I'm not using it. So it's that idea that's become very profitable. Okay, so let me go back to my groups here. So I have Peter, Vincent. So what have we done here? Peter. So we got here, blockchain, what is it? Beautiful. What problem does it solve? Who did this?
Me and Vincent did it.
Okay, beautiful, great. So put your names there of who did it.
Okay.
Put your names here, blockchains, digital ledger, great. What problems does it solve and what are common applications? Excellent. And then if I think about collaboration software, you did, right, Google Drive and Zoom, makes sense.
Is this ECS
Yeah,
373?
What? Yeah, what?
Is this ECS 373 by any chance?
Who? What?
ECS 373?
No.
I'm so lost.
Okay.
Have a good class.
Thank you. You can join us if you like. Okay, so we have here, we have the Zoom, okay, and what else do we have? So anything else that I need to know? And then you had the screencasting programs. QuickTime,
Yep.
and then what about your individual ones?
Well, we kind of did them all on that same one. Like we
Okay,
have 3 on
so
there.
what I'd like you to do is each of you do a screencast.
Okay.
Okay, for next week.
Alright.
Got it?
Mhm.
Perfect. And then, group 2, Josette is maybe watching online, Mark and Pedro. Where's Mark and Pedro? Okay, great. So, be able to do it, so screencasting, okay, is Josette, and then Mark, and then Pedro.
Yeah, I wasn't here for, I think it was the first week.
Okay, so go back and do it, and then you can ask the other ones to do, that's the whole purpose of the group, okay? And then Pedro, you did, and then the collaboration.
We did it today in Zoom.
Okay, and you did it with Zoom, okay, great. Okay, I just wanna make sure, and then Luca, Zach, and Maddie, you're all here?
Not Luca.
Okay, right, Luca also sent me. So what I just suggest, if you don't mind, put it into folders, so that way, because we're gonna have a lot of, and you can correct yourselves, okay? We're gonna have a lot of activities and it's just a way to organize, and then we have the screencasting and the collaboration tools. We used Nico, we used that video Slack was the same thing, right, that we used in the Google Hangouts. Did we use Hangouts? Did we try Hangouts on air? No?
Yeah, you talked about that.
Right, did you try it? So let's do for next week, try the Hangouts on there and see how that works in redundance with that, and what else do I need? And Zhang Yuming and Manyan, I'm probably butchering your names, but please forgive me. So we looked at it last time, right? And so we have it, okay. All right, and then my course documents again is Phil and Uday. You have two people?
I think we had two more, but, yeah.
Yeah, we have to add ourselves to that. We weren't sure who our other group members were.
So did you make your own group or what?
No, we're in the group with Philip, but we didn't add ourselves to that. We didn't know what group
Did
member we were.
you do the homework? No.
No, we have
Okay,
to
so
catch
what
up.
I'm gonna require is tonight, before you leave with your group, let's do it together and then check back with me that we have that done, okay? So we have this one, and then I have Jesse, and then I have my lecture captain. Okay, so for my other three, raise your hand for my other three. So Mackenzie, okay, so Mackenzie, were you here the last time? You
No,
were
I
here
was in
on Monday?
this class.
Okay, did you put yourself in another group last time or no?
In your Monday night class?
Yeah.
Yes, but I think that they continued on without.
Okay, all right, so you three, at the end of this class, I'm gonna end a little bit early, you three will stay with me and we'll put you together as a team, okay? And then, Zach, you can even, what is your name again? John, you wanna help him, you can even, I'll have Zach then help you already. You'll put him into the audit area, right, as an end user. You'll be the team leader. He can even type for you his name, and you can even do it during this time. We can start with a folder. Yes,
I'm also not in this section.
I know you're not. Why is she not in this section? Because she needs to be an instructor, right? So you know what, Mackenzie, why don't you do, are you plugged in? Is that why you're sitting there?
Yeah,
Oh, because I was gonna say you could sit next to John.
I can move.
Yeah, move next to John, and then that way you're ready with the group. And you can move too, right over here, and then you, all three are in a group, you know what I mean? So then you can kind of work together and help each other out. And Zach, you can even try to put all three of them in. Okay, we're gonna help each other, that we're gonna do that. Okay, any questions? Okay, so we finished with that. Let me go back to our other group, so we know that. So. Let me go back to Blackboard. Let me do this. Let me see. I'm gonna go to my regular KY, go to the regular KY with me. And let's go to assignments. So, for next week, make sure that you have quiz 1 and hardware done. If it got you out, I've given 3 attempts for both of those because there were some problems. By mistake, the course administrator erased some scores. So they were trying to merge some things together, and all of a sudden they told me, oh, by the way, I erased everything that your class did.
Wait, so we need to do it again?
If you don't have a grade, do it again, okay? The good part is I'm giving you 3 times to do it, so it'll be a review, but I'm letting you know, do it again. And he was saying that he could put the grades back in, but then you wouldn't be able to review your work. So I said it's important for you to be able to see how you've done, so for the exam, you can even use those questions as possible review questions, okay? So you'll be able to do that. So it's chapter 1 in TG1, and then I'm going to skip to quiz 4, which is security. So I'm gonna make that available. How do I make that available? I'm gonna go here, what should I press? edit the test options, right? And edit the test options, what should I do? I should go down, open the test, make the link available. And you want no attempts or 2 attempts? 2, I'll make 2 attempts and it'll be last graded that I have. And then I'm gonna submit hi. And do you have a PowerPoint?
I have a flash drive.
Flash drive, perfect. We'll use your flash drive and we'll be able to go in. Okay, so let me do some, work here and then we'll have Kevin, right?
Yes.
Kevin is here. Isabel, this is Kevin here.
Hi.
Isabel was gonna lead us in discussion with blockchain, so Kevin will have you lead us and then we'll all chime in with you, okay?
Okay.
Great, so we'll be able to do that. Okay, chapter 4, we have security. So why I'm having you skip for chapter 4 of security is I wanna go over the security chapter with us, and then afterwards, I'm inviting the chief security officer of the University of Miami will join us the following week. So she'll join us the following week. So once we have this, I'll be able to do security. So going over security for next week. All right? So let me show you a couple of other things here before I leave. So let me go to the laptop. And let me show you a couple of things here. See my laptop? I'm gonna do a program called Ninja Trader 7. Who's ever heard of it? Isn't that great? I love it, because then you're gonna learn, right? If everybody says, oh, I know that already, why waste my time? So what we're gonna do is we talked about rule-based systems, we talked about robo-advisors, we talked about the computer helping us in terms of predictions. Kevin, have you done any cryptocurrencies? Have you bought any cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, in terms of, purchasing them or trading them.
Okay,
I've done
purchase and
some.
trading, and a lot of times what we'll be looking at is forecasting. It's pretty volatile, right? That a lot of those cryptocurrencies, and what we'll be looking at is trading them. Let me just see here. We always have issues, right? We never, okay, it's having problems, okay. Let's see here. And I'll just show you some things about it. Okay, I'm going to skip this. And we'll see if we can get some other things. Okay. Okay. You know, a lot of times when this is basically, it doesn't matter what this is. This is basically a chart, right? And what do they usually tell you in a stock chart? Let me tell you, I'm brilliant, right? So when I'm brilliant, I say, you know what? I think we should buy here, and I think we should sell right over here, right? And I think we should, right, buy here, sell there, buy here, right? Of course, I can say that brilliance because what? I know what already the past has been, right? If you see a number of these charlatans, that's what they'll tell you. You know, I think right here, my model tells me to buy here, and they already see in those low end. What's the idea is to predict, ready, not to have it. So one of the things that they do is they have a position called a quant trader. Anybody hear about that? They call them quants. And if you haven't heard about it, you want to help me out? just guessing, right? Or they'll use a run. A quant trader, a good quant trader, starting salary can be $250,000, and if your models are good, you get also a percentage of that. Sounds pretty good. So you know it's not easy, right? Somebody's giving that out at the beginning, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to begin doing some quant traders, but what I wanna show you is we'll start off with some strategies. And what are strategies? They're rules that tell you when to buy and when to sell, or when to get in and when to exit. Some of them are good and some of them, of course, are improved, but I'll show you how easy it is in this one. This platform is called NinjaTrader. NinjaTrader started in Germany and then gained offices also in the United States. Their offices are in Denver, Colorado, some of their offices. And they started by setting up a platform for simulations, or if you want to actually trade, you could trade with other brokers. Now they saw that it was so popular, they became a brokerage themselves. But I don't want you to sign up as a brokerage account. I want you to sign up as a free account in simulation mode. Because in this class, we're going to do simulations, and then we're going to improve our strategies as we go. Because in the beginning, you think we're going to be successful. No, of course not, right? Or if it is, it's just by chance. So I'm going to show you a little bit of where kind of that fintech, remember that finance is going through, is those built-in strategies people pay, and it's just not one person doing it. A lot of times those strategies are built on a number of people from finance, people from an industry, computer programs, physicists, PhDs in math, work together, finance professors, accounting professors, all working together, and also people that have been good traders and know about it to know how to improve those strategies. It's not usually just like a one-person shop that knows everything. So what I'm going to try to do here when I'll be doing it, and hopefully I can connect to the internet, and I'm having some issues, but what I'll be able to do is when I'm doing it is I'll be connecting to kinetic end of day. Everybody see that? I'll be connecting to end of day data, and that's free. So basically, how often does the market, for instance, change? It could be tick by tick. You know, by the time you blink your eyes, there can be a number of trades. But we're going to be doing it at the end of day type of way that we're going to be doing it, and then we're going to be using kinetic end of day. And let me just go here at the part where we need to go then is to NinjaTrader.com. And you see here, any platform, low cost. And the reason why I'm using it is it's free, it's a simulation. There's a lot of platforms, but they're not free, and this is just so nice that it be today. And they also even have interactive training, you can see. And then if I say get started, I give them an email, and you can give them just email yourself. You can do that now, right? What, do you want free live market data? Free live, say yeah. And then in this case, I'll even just say no right now because we don't want futures or Forex. Anybody know what Forex is?
A trading platform?
No, what's Forex?
Currency exchange.
F-O-R-E-X. Oh, I'm in the wrong thing. Why aren't you telling me? right? I'm working on this, okay? I'm doing this and you're just sitting here. So it says here, do you want free live market data? And it says futures or Forex. What's Forex?
Foreign exchange, currencies, currency
Right.
trading.
On what? Currencies, right? If I'm gonna trade the dollar versus the yen, the dollar versus the euro, right? Futures, we're talking about a lot of times in terms of commodities. So in this case, I'm just gonna say no right here, and then it's processing, and then select your NinjaTrader version. I wanna use both. So you can start off with 7, and you can say NinjaTrader 7 we wanna start off with. So I can say then NinjaTrader 7, and then download, setup, show in folder. Let's see here. And I'm downloading, and this needs Windows. So since we don't, so you need to try this out on Windows. Either you can make yourself a virtual machine and get Windows on there, or you can get something like Boot Camp or Parallels to get Windows on one of your machines. Or you can work on a group. If one person in the group can get Windows, then you can work together on your Windows. For instance, you guys have Windows and you can do it on Windows. But let me just even show you in terms of getting started here. You see that they give you a number of sharing of your process. And you can set that up. You got the next. I agree. I'm going to next. I say I'll just do it by default. I'm doing next, and I'm Windows NinjaTrader 7. Do you allow this app to install? I say yes, and let's see if it works. You remember how I said our dog food? Who knows if it works? And if it doesn't work, what do we want to do? Document it. Either kind of on the screencast, we can do it kind of on the collaboration way that we can try to see whether it's working. And in this case, has been successfully installed, right? Please use the Windows Update Check-in Agreement has successfully installed. And then I say close, and now what should I do? Hope and pray, right? I'm always hoping and praying. And I don't know who I'm hoping and praying for, but the computer gods will see whether it will work. Okay, so we'll see if something comes up. That's a good sign right there. And what does it say? NinjaTrader, simulating trading, initializing databases. And sometimes maybe we can see if we can put these in other systems, and let's see if we allow access, right? Say yes here. Okay, and at this point, when you get to this screen, what do I want to do is you want to skip. Get connected, I'm going to just say skip, okay? And you can put that in your notes here, I'm going to skip. And we'll see if we can get this working. I can just show you a little bit. Okay, and then give me some tips. I can do tips. They have an entire session here. I can say close. Okay, and the first thing I want to do is what? I want to get data. Feed. So what should I do? I want to connect to data feed. What should I do? I want to connect to data feed. So I'm going to go to connect. I'm going to go, I want end of day free data. Remember, I want free. So I'm going to go connect end of day. And it woke somebody up. Anybody gets asleep, it woke you up. That's good sometimes. You know, a power nap is just good for 10, 20 minutes, you know, then you get groggy. So I allow you 10, 20-minute nap here, and then I'll connect, okay, for you. Okay, now I've connected, and in green here, I know I've connected, right? And now I want to go to a new, and I want to go to a chart. Let's start off. Okay, I want to go new to a chart, and I can do a number of different, and you can see here on new and chart, these I can do Forex, which is currencies, I can do the NASDAQ, I can do the S&P, but what I want to do, I'll just go to the Dow 30, but you can choose any one. And what's that first symbol there? Who said that? Okay, Apple. Okay, so I'll click on Apple. We can do anyone, it doesn't matter. I'm just doing, everybody knows Apple, right? And then when I do Apple, you see down here it says new, and it says Apple, and it says in parentheses. So you cannot see that, but what does that say in parentheses? Mackenzie, what does it say? 1 minute. What was my data feed? Anybody remember what I chose as my free data feed? End of the day. So does 1 minute make sense? No. So since that 1 minute doesn't make sense, on the right-hand side, you see where it says type? I want to change it to what? Day. Okay? And now, so I click new, I change my type to day, and now what do I say? Okay. So you remember what I said here, right, Isabel? That I'm brilliant when I say here's, do it here, place here, and place here. But what do we say that quant traders are, Phil? Strategies. They build strategies. So what this platform has, and also other platforms have, and you can put it in your notes, is they have some built-in strategies to start off with. You think they're the best strategies? Maybe not, right? Because they give it to you. How much does it cost us? How much is it costing us, those built-in strategies? Nothing, free, right? So, but it's a start for us. And then I'll show you later on, there are other publications that we can get strategies from other people. And what it seems to be in this environment, since it's changing so fast, is strategies do really well, and then what happens? Conditions change, so that strategy doesn't do as well, and they need to get another strategy. So a lot of times you can find a lot of strategies out there, and later on, if we can find, Nico, if we can find a great trader among us, what they could do is they could collaborate and they could broadcast their trades. We could follow them, and Nico, if you were the best trader, right, either you could do one is you could give everybody free for a certain portion, and then if you want to go to my special trades, you could charge, right? Or if we really got a huge crowd, right, we could do something that got a huge crowd behind you. Maybe they could even, on smaller trades, they could even influence the market. But there's a ways in which we could make you like the expert, and then you could broadcast, right? And others follow, or we can get from different sectors, we can get different people to participate, right? Who was using Zoom, right? We could even do something like Zoom or Hangouts on Air where I can get other people to participate. Okay, so I need to go to strategies. And the way you can put it in your notes here is you see this little dollar sign, it's telling us we're going to make a lot of money, right? So I'm going to go to strategies. And notice they give us a few strategies that are built in. I have a sample MA, and MA stands for moving average. Everybody know what a moving average is? It's basically taking an average, but I'm moving at a certain periods of time. So I can have a fast moving average, I can have a slower, more days or fewer days. And then I have crossovers. We're going to use, in the beginning, I'm just going to use the sample MA crossover. So what do? I just click it, I press new. Anytime I want to insert something, I press new. And these are, we'll talk about this later, but this is good, right? Apple, daily, and now I want to enable it. So if I want to enable it, what should I do? Tommy, what should I do?
Change it to true then?
Yeah, change it to true. And then I'm going to change it to true. Right? And now I'm going to apply. And it says, although you have an order confirmation enabled, orders generated by a strategy will be submitted without confirmation. We're not hooking to a brokerage account yet. You know, and in this class, you will not be hooking up, because I don't want your parents coming and saying, you know, my child was supposed to be learning and you lost all their money, you know, and the whole family bank, right? Right? And I'm going to have to be working, you know, as your slave or something, you know, for the rest of my life, saying, oh, please, I apologize. But you'll be on, you know, we'll even, I'll pass out a letter here saying that, you know, I am not responsible, and if you're going to be using this, it's going to be on your own, right? Risk on your own. But think about it, if we did have a brilliant strategy, you know, as you're sitting here, all you'd have to do on the phone, you know, on your phone, is just say accept, you know, and just look at your bank account. I'll tell you other stories on how some of my students were creating something like that. Okay, it was with doing some other kind of things. Okay, so we got here, I said apply, I say okay here. And now, basically, I have what? I have some signals here. And you can see here, this is called, and you can put this in your note, this is called back testing. That means, had I traded on this strategy, this is how I would do. And everywhere that you see green little dots, it means you think I made money or lost money. Made money. Everywhere that you see those red dots, I made money or lost money. Lost money. So basically this said buy, and it's a little bit crowded here. It says buy at a certain process, and then it said sell at this point. Notice that the market came up, it went up, and in this part it said sell short. Who knows what sell short is? No one? Isabel, what's sell short?
When you short a stock is when you like want to sell it before, like sooner. No.
It's kind of make a loan and then sell the stock, and then you rebuy the stock and earn the profit on the.
I'll tell you in short, right. I'll tell you the way you can look at it. Usually when you buy, you're expecting the stock to go what? Up or down? In the future? Up. Sometimes you expect the stock to go down. When you're expecting the stock to go down, you're making money as it's going down if you short. Just think about it that way. So that's why a lot of traders, even when the market is going down, they can make money because they're betting that it's going down. And in a way, what you're talking about is they basically borrow the stock at a certain amount, and then when it's at a lesser amount, they make the money in between. Just understand that. So you can make money on shorts, but this is not the thing. But let me just point out a point to you, is if I place my cursor here and right-click my mouse, you'll see that it says something called strategy performance. Everybody see that? And sample, MA crossover, and historical real time. And this is my performance of how that strategy did. So if I look at my total net profit, was it positive or negative? Was it positive or negative? Positive. My long trades were positive. What was my short trades? Negative, right? my profitability, and then if I look here, I have, to give me a lot of, my profit per month on my long trades was 1.34. My short trades were what? Minus. So probably with that strategy, what would be a way in which I could modify that strategy? What would you tell, let's say, your programmer to do?
Choose your short term.
Don't do shorts. Take my model isn't good in betting when this model isn't good in betting when Apple was going down. It was really good in betting when it was going up, and then we can improve it. Now let me show you something else. So this I can then, if you look at this, guess what? How many people know Excel, right? I can export then this table by right-clicking and goes to grid. I can export it to Excel, and then I can do evaluations on a number of different strategies. Easy, right? The whole idea, where's the beef, is getting a good strategy. And what you can do is you can try out, and I'll show you later on, you can try out a number of different companies, and by going to the performance, you can find the highest performance that has the highest profit per month. And you can go through as a group, you can say, if it's not Apple with this one, maybe we can try another one. Right, I can try IBM, I can try a number of different other ones, right? So I can do that. And let me show you, those of you that are really excited, I can see it already. So if you can think about it, see, I can go all the way back here. This is back testing. Was this positive? Yes. Notice here, this says sell short, and guess what? It looks like all my sell shorts are what? Losers. Right? This one was a loser. This told me buy here. It wasn't. It should have been. This one looks what? It says buy, right? It did go up, right? But then what happened? It waited too long. So later on, some of the strategy would be, maybe they're too much. We can put other statistics in there and look for it, and they're waiting too long. Everybody with me? So then we can go about doing that. And let me just show you one more thing that I wanted to show you. So you're asking, what is that strategy? That strategy was basically looking at my fast two moving averages, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Tools, I'm going to go to the Control Center, and I'm going to go to Tools, Edit Ninja Script, and what am I going to look at? I want to look at a strategy, so I'm going to press Strategy. And which strategy did I use? Anybody remember? Sample MA for moving average crossover. And let's see if something comes up. And I'll get to. And let me make this even bigger. I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to font. Let me make this bigger. And let me make it at 18. Not better, right? This is my strategy. And you're saying, how many people have done any programming? Raise your hand. Silent, okay. And I'm going to show, everybody's going to be a programmer by the end of, I have 3 minutes before we begin, okay? So basically, this is what we call the source code. You can put it in your notes, we call this the source code. Source code. This is where the rules are. In NinjaTrader, they use a programming language called C#. Anybody play any music? Right? So a sharp, right? This is simple for sharp, right? So it's C sharp, that's what they call it. And basically, it's like Java. Those of you that are familiar, but it's Microsoft's version of Java, and a lot of these trading systems run on Windows. That's why I'm using it. Otherwise, I would get this, and I also like it because it's free. But anyways, you don't have to worry about it. But everything in green are comments. You see that in comments? They're basic for the person, copyright ninja, this namespace, and so forth. But this is code that you don't have to worry about. And you remember we talked about the SMA. SMA is simple moving average. We have a fast and we have a slow. And you remember one was orange and one was green. That's all that is. And we have fast for more, fewer days, and we have slow for more days. And this is what we need to know. This is our rule. And the beauty here, where's John? The beauty here, John, is what? This is my rules, and I want you then to read it. Read that first line. If
Cross above
Okay.
SMA.
fast, right, is above, if the fast is above the slow, what should I do?
Enter long.
Meaning what? Buy, right? Enter a long
Yeah.
position. And if the cross is below, if the fast is below the slow,
Shorted.
short. That's it. So if, for Apple, for that stock Apple, what did we say about the shorts?
We're doing it the wrong time.
Loser right there
Yeah.
of this one. So what would we do? We could eliminate this one. And you could tell your program, listen, let's get rid of the shorts. That's all there is. And what they have in this, and I'll spend time with you on it, they have what they call a little wizard. That you tell the rules, and it produces the code for you. And this is part of what they call it in terms of basically that quant programming is a lot of times when they think about it, over 80 to 90% of trades now in the stock market are done with computers, are done with these systems. So sometimes you'll hear about those flash crashes, you'll see those crashes, and some of them are going so small, they're not doing it by day, they're doing it like microseconds. Before you can blink, and they're making money, they're going in and out all the time, and they're just making money on small amounts for it. And then we'll should start looking at this, and then we'll even look at some of the cryptocurrencies, because they're really volatile, you know what I mean? They're really going like crazy, you know, in terms of the forecast and predictions. But those are the types of things that we can think about as doing as projects together, that I'll lead you all in projects together, and those of you that are really interested can do your main project on this, and then you can think about it in concentrating on certain sectors. So for Tommy in the health sector, he could pick out, guess what? If I heard, you know, in this and with my strategy, that Bezos, that Diamond, and the Warren Buffett, guess what? What would we want to do with a lot of those health insurance companies is do what? Enter long or what? Enter short. Enter short at that time, but you know, we can do on those terms, right? And guess what Amazon did today? I know we were probably long then that Amazon, so we could do combinations. So I can do it for my strategies, plus I need to be flexible enough to do like news parts of it, you know, and then I could have bots. What are bots? Like software bots that would highlight, would be able to interpret what was happening and say, hey, like a Watson almost making recommendations, you know, your strategy's good, but it didn't take into account what happened today in the news. And you combine those with a number of those to go together. So for your assignment for next week, along with chapter 4, is I'd like you to download Ninja Trader and try with that simple moving average, try to find stocks that are positive in both the shorts and the longs. And try to find the stock that has the highest profit per start, and then I'll show you how to do other things. And try it, and guess what, if we have issues, what do? We just document those. And we'll work there. And then your performance sheet, right, you can bring it in Excel, and then you can just upload that performance to your audit area. And you can work at this as a group to see how you can do.
So what specific things do you want us to do? Again?
Download Ninja Trader. You need to get Windows. Download Ninja Trader. Use simple moving average. Right? Then download Ninja Trader. Go to Connect. Right? Connect end of day. Create new. Create a chart. Pick a company. Right? Any company. Let me do VA. We didn't do it before. Go to new. Make sure that it's on day, right? And say okay. I know that it's daily. Go to strategies and pick which one, Vincent?
MA crossover.
MA crossover. Click new and enable it to what? True. Enable it to true. Go apply, say okay, this is BA, right? And you see here the lines, Vincent, that gold and the green, basically it's saying when something crosses over, when those lines cross over, my strategy was either to say to buy or to sell, depending on what was below, right? And now I want to right click and go to see the performance. So where am I going to go? Strategy performance. And in strategy performance, I want to look at historical and real time. Because I just don't want to go real time, I want to go back to see how my model did. So I want to choose historical and real time. And this one looked like what? I got a little bit more on my trades, but what also did this look like, Vincent? It was also pretty weak on my shorts. But how did I do on my profit per month? Did a lot better. 4.99% profit per month. Even though my shorts, I lost some, I got 5% a month. How much do I get from the bank in the United States? Anybody know?
Not 5%.
I don't even think 1%.
0.01%.
0.01% in the bank. Is this a better alternative? Sure is. Did that help, Vincent? And then take this to a spreadsheet. And how do you do that? Grid, right click, and do what? Export to Excel. I can export it and I can try a number of companies. You can try with your group, try a number of companies and try to see which are the most profitable for the SMA for this strategy. I'm in Excel, easy. And then later on, I'll show you how we can modify or get other strategies that may be better. But you right now can kind of like pick and choose, right? Right now, you pick and choose which stocks, and then later on I'll show you, we'll take just like a sector of stocks and let the computer check for us which ones are better. You got it? All the time I want to find out what the computer can automate. Because I don't want you to sit there and, there's probably 3,000, 10,000 different stocks that you can do, and you say, I may be missing something. Just set up a sector, right, and tell the computer, you go ahead and give it some criteria, you find me which ones, and rank order it. Doesn't that make sense? Much more sense. I don't want you wasting your time typing. I don't want to waste your time doing it. I want us to think more, and then you have some ideas. You know what I think is going to be the future here, or Tommy says, you know what, I'm dealing with now the neuro or some of the robotics, companies seem to be doing well or something, that he has some insight, and some physicians have some insights and so forth. In the medical area, he can kind of go through there and get some more ideas with that. And then we can work with other groups. Everybody understand on how we're doing? Okay, why don't we do this? let's take a 2-minute break, kind of stretch. We'll have Kevin, I'll get Kevin set up, and Kevin's gonna lead the discussion on blockchain. Has like an interesting background, and he's been giving seminars and so forth, and he usually charges for his seminars, and he's graciously come to share his expertise with us. And then later on, I told him we're gonna be broadcasting later on, he can even charge other people. We can get it free, right? How about that? He can get it free, and he can get whoever he gets on the internet, right, to join in. He can, subscribe on Eventbrite or something, and we get it free. And then, because we can't hold thousands here, right? But in this case, we can do it. So we can kind of, like, as I say, eat our own dog food. So let's take up our two minutes. Right? Some of you smiling because I tell such corny jokes. Okay, but that's okay. I'll stop whenever you just say please and not. Okay. All right. So let's take a 2-minute break, stretch, and then I'll get Kevin started. So what do we need, Kevin? Okay. Let me just try this machine. Let's see. Okay. So. Yeah, email it to me. Email. One email. And then we'll set it up. So you got an idea too what we're doing?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I spoke with Vanessa on the phone.
Right, so you got an idea. So what our goal here is to look at some of the cryptocurrencies and take some of those cryptocurrencies and see if we can increase the models rather than people guessing on what to buy. You know, when those bitcoins went down so much. Did you look at the one that I was telling you about, Tommy? Let me just show you what you can look at. Did you look at it? Let me show you.
It was the cryptocurrency for the healthcare, right?
Yeah, patient Tory.
Oh, you showed us this last class.
Yeah, right. And what they're doing, if you look at P-Toy, right? Patient Tory, their price. Here's their price. Right? So here it's, see, this is what they're doing. This is the 7-day. This is how they've done on a month basis, right? If we shorted, we'd be doing pretty well, huh? Right, but they think, right, well, we don't know if we should buy. I'm not telling anybody to buy now, you know what I mean? But what is interesting here, see how they've done from these parts, right? And here's what they've done in, the past year. Look at that big spikes they've had. And these are, I showed you last time, these are just basically look like they just graduated. A couple students, started off and started an ICO. Have you heard about them? With P-Toy. You have to go to their bar, and then once they get money, it looks like then they'll hire. None of them are programmers, but they basically are starting with that blockchain, right? Making healthcare secure. Doesn't that sound? These are areas. It'd be interesting for your group, right, to start looking at that, right? That not only can they secure healthcare, but maybe even create ICOs, or
It's the first of its kind, right? It's the first of its kind.
Well, they've done other things in blockchains and healthcare, but they're one of the first that did a coin, of a coin offering. And people have given them millions of dollars for those coin offerings. And if you look at it, store and manage and control. So did you send me something?
Yeah, to your Gmail.
Okay, so let me go to my Gmail, let me see. Kevin Cruz, good.
That better?
And open, you want me to here, open
Yeah, you can open it
slide?
right there.
Is it like cinnamon, this one? Ooh, I don't know how to mess with that. I haven't tried that.
I'm out. I'll give
Okay, Do you mind if I ask him to join us?
Not a problem.
I think it's great.
Is her presentation?
No,
You can take it over.
no, she said she's gonna be your co-host.
I'll add up some stuff.
Right, she'll add some things on
Yeah,
it.
it's gonna be a quick introduction to the technology. So she mentioned how these markets are very volatile and, it's very speculative. It's still early times. These currencies, Bitcoin was created in 2009, and a lot of people still think it's the early days for all of these, protocols. So, if we're gonna start, what is it? Who's heard of Bitcoin or the blockchain here?
We've done.
Okay, tell me about it. All right, so we're just gonna get into what it is exactly. So, the blockchain merges qualities of the internet with the security of cryptography. That is to say that anyone with internet can use Bitcoin, for example. And it is guaranteed within its own protocol to be secure whenever you send money to one person. It is guaranteed to get to that one person through the use of public key cryptography. And it is a way to store information in a decentralized manner that is 100% safe, secure. It's never been hacked. And what we will see during this presentation is that Bitcoin created the blockchain. The blockchain is a way to organize information. The blockchain is this decentralized database. It is the combination in terms of Bitcoin. When I say Bitcoin with a capital B, it refers to the full protocol that allows it to work, the steps within it, and it is based on cryptography. Lowercase b, when people use Bitcoin with lowercase b, it refers to the currency of the protocol, so the money that people use.
So the lowercase is digital currency and the uppercase
is
is?
the full protocol, the mining process, its creation, its distribution, etc. And it is a real-world application of cryptography in mathematics. It's another one of those things that, when we're in high school, we think, what the hell are we going to use elliptic curves for? This is a real-world application of that math, that protocol.
And can you go back to the other slide?
Mm-hmm.
And then decentralized, are you gonna talk about that or no?
Yeah, so I'm gonna get into that.
Okay.
But the decentralized component of Bitcoin is that the people who support the network and create Bitcoins essentially are working in their own self-interest. So they're miners who purchase equipment, computing equipment. At this point and stage, you need to invest a lot of capital in order to see big returns like the early days, but people, when the price of a currency goes up, it becomes more profitable to mine. But that is to say that people who support Bitcoin in particular and many other cryptocurrencies are working to get money. And we're gonna get into how they get paid. It exists on the internet, and Bitcoin in particular, you're basically sending money, and the protocol used is public key cryptography. So it's the same technology used in email. If you have your email, you can share it with the world, your email address, and you won't get hacked. And that doesn't necessarily mean you will be hacked. But if your password and your email are shared, you're going to get hacked, probably. So this is the same protocol when you send Bitcoin. Has anyone ever sent Bitcoin or any cryptocurrencies here? Okay, so yeah, there's a public key, an address that identifies a user. So it's literally a string of numbers and letters. In the app or the website, you indicate a person with that string. You share that string with anyone, and that is your public key. There is a private key which is linked to that public key, and when one of these accounts or Bitcoin wallet is created, a public key and a private key are created. We can think of the private key as access to the contents of that user public key. And when someone sends a Bitcoin transaction, basically what's happening is that it's being verified by the supporters or miners of the network. The people running these machines with their electricity, these machines are basically verifying that every transaction has an origin. So if money is moved from here to there, these miners are guaranteeing that everything has an origin and every transaction has an input and an output. These miners are following the trail of inputs, and it's a chain of transactions. And the blockchain is essentially a published record of money has been sent here, this has been sent here, and it specifies accounts and users with a public key. So a name is not tied to someone who uses Bitcoin. It's more or less this public key. But if law enforcement, for example, wanted to track someone's money, they would be able to, let's say, go to a company like Coinbase, which is a website that allows people to send Bitcoins and do the work to do that. So it's semi-anonymous, you could say. And the principle behind this whole network and blockchain is creating a system that's easier to defend than it is to attack. It's a decentralized manner, guarantees this because of the fact that it's easier to prove that money went from here to there because you can literally look it up. I'll show you on the website after this. So, okay, I'm going to be skipping.
Yeah, skip through it, because I just want to have time for questions. We want to end at 8:30.
Yeah, okay, so let's see, let's get that. Digital signatures, that is the basic concept of how money is sent using a system that doesn't use traditional banking methods to send money. It's imaginary if you think about it. But the reason that this all works and that a cryptocurrency is allowed to maintain value or even skyrocket like we've seen the past few years is through this protocol. And it's basically when money is sent, it is guaranteed, you must have a recipient. Let's say in Bitcoin, if you send Bitcoin, you must have a recipient. And that transaction, once it's sent, is permanently published on this database called the blockchain. So that is to say that it is permanent, and that is what contributes to its integrity. Because let's say you want to establish trust or establish that something happened, you need to have a sense of permanent, something permanent. You can't, that no one can use it for their own aims, that no one human being can corrupt the system. And it's through digital signatures that this is allowed, and that is, again, cryptography. Okay, I spoke about this briefly. This is a condensed version. So one thing that's important, I guess, with anything blockchain related, because there's a lot of new projects in the space, anyone can create a coin by forking the code or just copying the source code of a cryptocurrency and sort of using that protocol. But what makes the blockchain is that it's permanent. So every transaction on this database cannot be deleted. You can think of it like the mistakes that many of you will make in college are going to be permanent. Some of them will be, not all of them, but that's what the blockchain is, it's permanent. So, and it's a way to achieve consensus at the end of the day. Bitcoin's value, I don't know how, I think it's $10,000, $11,000 right now, but people agree on the price through the market, and there is consensus that every Bitcoin transaction ever created, in fact, occurred. And that is what holds these new technologies, the blockchain technologies together, is the fact that there's consensus. And there are talks in finding different consensus mechanisms. Right now, the main currencies use mining, which the big issue is that they burn a lot of electricity. These Bitcoin miners, I read an article that I think the mining network creates more electricity than Scotland or something like that. So there's a lot of resources being burned out, and there's people looking into alternative ways to achieve this security. And some of those is proof of stake and proof of work, which we will not get into right now because it's very technical at the moment. So basically, the blockchain is a way to store transactions in a decentralized fashion, and it creates trust for networks. So people trying to create the cities of the future, smart cities, for example, they are looking to this way of storing information because they know it can't be altered by one person, and a lot of lives could hang in the balance. Let's say if you're trying to create self-driving cars or different infrastructures for cities. And it's basically an append only. Like I said, you can't remove transactions, store data in this space, and it was actualized when Bitcoin was created. And something people are interested in is this idea of smart property, where you can sort of peg abstract concepts, say gold price, gas prices, to a futures market on the blockchain, and you could send Bitcoins to one address, and that's you betting on a future, and that's basically like smart property. It in effect represents gold or oil, those reserves. And the way that these new ideas will be implemented, a lot of people think is blockchain. And a visual, just to get an idea of what a blockchain is basically when transactions are made, they're stored here in blocks. And every 10 minutes, one block is created in the Bitcoin protocol. And basically every block refers to the previous one at the moment that it's stored. So it's creating a permanent structure, and everything is linked. That's a basic visual of what this all is. And the result of all of this is, the magic of this is that it creates decentralized consensus. You can come to agree on a state of truth without having to go through one party. It's created by people who want to get something out of this network. And that's basically what it is. We have decentralized consensus, and that's the basics of the blockchain. We have about 10 more minutes if anyone has questions.
I have a question about miners in general. Just to see if I have the right concept, is it basically just the miners are saying X amount of money was sent from here to here, and that's a fact, like that happened and we're gonna document that?
Yeah, they're verifying the amount of money, and they're verifying that the person sending that money has money that has an origin, so that the money sent wasn't created out of nowhere.
Okay.
They're guaranteeing that, and every transaction has an input, which is basically the reference to the previous amount of money. So it's basically checking that there's that chain of truth.
And you were talking about making sure that the currency didn't come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Follow-up question. Miners get compensated, correct?
Yes. The method through which they are compensated is basically, miners are in competition they're kind of, let's say, they're answering a math question pertaining to the amount of transactions within a block. They're stored in blocks. And basically every transaction is hashed using an algorithm, and there's a numerical value that these miners are trying to guess. So it's like one math, trying to solve a problem. And it's actually, miners work in pools, so it's generally people who put warehouses together and agree to split the profit if they are the ones that are correct. So the reward right now for Bitcoin mining is, after every block is verified, 12.5 Bitcoins are sent to the winner.
So, but where did those 12.5 Bitcoins come from?
Those are called the Coinbase transaction, and that means that it's a transaction with no input. So at the moment that algorithm is solved, or that problem is solved, new Bitcoins are created that do not have an input, that do not have a reference, and then they are then sent to the winner.
Okay.
The winner's public address.
So then technically, does the pool of, I guess the amount of Bitcoins in circulation increase constantly because miners are being compensated?
Yeah, so the Bitcoin in particular is programmed as like, it's basically the amount of, there's this limit, there's a 21 million limit on the amount of Bitcoins that exist. And it's a deflationary currency because the supply decreases as time goes, and it's programmed. A couple years ago, miners received 25 Bitcoins as a reward. Currently it's 12.5, and it will continue to have. That is to say that although there's a limit to the supply, it's expected that the price through this scheme will rise. But it will also be harder to become a miner as this happens.
We have some other questions. Isabel, you wanna?
What's your opinion of other coins like Monero, Factum,
Um,
Ripple?
yeah, a lot of those have been around for a while. I'm not too familiar with Factum. I have heard of Monero.
They're
it-
mostly for like privacy or contracts and, you know.
Yeah, privacy. Factum, they're trying to do different projects. They're attempting to deal with like real estate and a lot
And
of
banks,
and
yeah.
banks. Monero is privacy. A lot of people believe that people use that for illegal purposes, but it is not. That's kind of like when people say if you want privacy, you're doing something wrong. But it is a speculative coin, so everybody is sort of looking at it and trading it versus Bitcoin, Ethereum, and it's one of the higher ranking cryptocurrencies in terms of market capitalization. So Monero is something I've been hearing a lot about in terms of people trading it. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and there's others that.
Litecoin. Do you think Litecoin is gonna like substitute Bitcoin?
Litecoin?
Yeah, like.
I don't think so, because the Bitcoin has the highest market cap. I mean, it's sort of been around the longest, and it's in terms of the volatility, it's more volatile. So
But isn't
people
it
don't
like
want-
too overpriced now? So for new investors, wouldn't that be a better alternative? Since it has like, it's very, you know, it's on the same level as Bitcoin. It's a
Litecoin,
substitute.
I don't know if it's overpriced or underpriced at this point, because you've seen the price of like Bitcoin or Ethereum skyrocket overnight. You know, I can't say. What I could say is that 5 years ago, all of these currencies were extremely cheap, and I think if we just follow some of these trends with different currencies, we can expect them to continue to rise in value. So I think Litecoin is, you know, in the long run, maybe in the short term, you're gonna see a lot of dips, but I think they're all going to go up in the long term. In terms of the top, you know, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Monero, etc.
Did you have a question, Phil?
I was asking about like miners, and when you say that they're like doing this work and like solving these problems, it's not like math. It's like the person.
It's the
right?
machinery.
The computer,
The
yeah.
machinery. Yeah, they run it. They just run machinery, fans, it's GPU.
Yeah.
So that they're just basically, think of it as electricity, running electricity. Yes.
I know that Bitcoin has transaction fees.
Yes.
So would you think that maybe the technology for Bitcoin is outdated compared to other new cryptos that are coming out?
Most of these other cryptos also implement the transaction fees. The fees are actually, they go to the miners. So I think that's something that I should mention, is that these transactions, let's say in Bitcoin, they have a small fee, and the miner, the pool that wins, also receives the fee of the sum of transactions in a block. So I don't know whether it's outdated or not. Definitely from the user side, it's become a little more expensive to send Bitcoin, so people have preferred to use Ethereum because it's quicker and there's less fees involved with the cryptocurrency that they've created. You know, but who's to say that the fees of Ethereum won't skyrocket if the price takes off too? You know, so that's something for a developer to know. You know.
Did you have a question, Amir?
Oh, no, actually.
Okay, any other? Tom?
Does it worry you, like, that it's like it was anonymously created? Like, is there any, you know, like, I guess whoever created it, you know, maybe they have the coding for those Bitcoins that are not in circulation right now, and I guess if it gets to a certain limit, they could, you know, sell them all, and then, I don't know, just a worry I have.
Yeah, I think the protocol that governs it, you know, is open source. And as far as, you know, the person who created it sort of created this unhackable system that even if they wanted to take the secret key and ruin it, they wouldn't be able to, because of the fact that, one, everyone is decentralized. It's not one party that's running it. it's more so different people all around the world running. So it's not just one person who is in control of
And
it.
have you been involved in any ICOs?
I haven't personally done any, but I've advised projects that are getting to do one. There's one called Data Wallet, which is pretty interesting. I think on February 5th, they're opening their thing. But what they're trying to do is a data market. So basically, when we use social media, we all create data, Facebook, and it is often used to sell as products, so it's monetized, but we don't get money from it. So this startup is trying to allow people to sell their data for a cryptocurrency that they've created that is tradable for other cryptocurrencies.
And have you heard of Steemit?
Yes, I've heard of Steam.
Yeah, so have you guys heard of Steemit? So look it up. Can you type it as,
Yeah, I can write it.
No, but put it in, even in, open up another tab. STEEMIT. And then, so what they created in Steemit is that you can join free, and basically what they created then is Steemit coins, so you get rewarded for posting. You create a blog, and basically you'll get Steemits then for your blog, and then what you're gonna do is you'll be rewarded for it, and then you'll have others that find your blogs interesting or your posts interesting, then they will vote on it. So the idea is the most interesting or the most useful will then go up on the chain. So this is kind of interesting that they started. Now there's some complaints about this because they're using bots maybe. It's almost like a pyramid scheme that the founders of it may be getting more money than others that are set for it. But it's the idea of almost creating it for blogs. And then now they're having, with blockchain for ads, they're having it for a number of different industries that this is growing. And then you'll see it in blockchain. And what's interesting as well is creating these ICOs. So what I'm suggesting, and if Kevin wants to come back, he's welcome, is we'll have some attorneys also that are working with companies creating ICOs and what are the legal ramifications for it and how do you set that up as well. So if you're interested in that, we can invite some here in Miami that are working with a number of companies for ICOs and things about it as well. Okay, any other questions? Just one more.
Just because I'm curious, could you
Yeah.
briefly touch on your background?
Yeah, so I was gonna get into that. So my name is Kevin Cruz, from Miami. If anyone knows Cutler Bay, Cutler Ridge, South Miami Heights, South Miami. But I'm an artist, writer, filmmaker, musician. That's my background. About 3-4 years ago, a friend told me about Bitcoin when it was first coming out, and I was like, cool. It seemed like it's the future. So I started researching it a lot. Eventually, 2014, they had a conference here in Miami. I attended, and I started working for Bitcoin Magazine like 2014, so I wrote a whole bunch of articles over the past few years, and traveled to different Bitcoin conferences, spoken at different events, organized my own, and just, it was kind of, for me, I was in the beginning, I was 21 years old, so it's kind of something new and exciting. I was in school, I put it on hold just to start traveling and going to these very early events. There was not too many people going to these, so I learned about the technology. One thing I could say about my experience is that over the years there's been a lot of new businesses created, new startups. A lot of them were Ponzi schemes, and I would say 85% of the businesses I wrote about do not exist today. So that just
Like
gives
the
you
Wild Wild West, that's what they were thinking about, part of it being a bubble, on some of these that you have to be careful. But I really think that the blockchain technology is gonna change the way businesses work. And when you think about that security, where you have those links, and basically, do I have accounting majors? Basically, they're gonna think about in terms of a single ledger, accounting is gonna even change. I think that whole idea of auditing is gonna change based on that, blockchain technologies. And on the academic side, you'll see a number of conferences now in, Berkeley and other, schools are teaching entire, programs on that, blockchain, because people are thinking that that's a secure environment. Some of the coins and some of, the businesses around it, like anything else, are starting, are somewhat charlatan. Just like, almost like the .com in the very beginning, a lot of those went by the wayside, but look what grew up from it. So I think that my own personal opinion is that blockchain technology will be here. It's just trying to do it. And a number of the countries, some countries are, like Estonia, are basically starting their whole ecosystem around, the blockchain from the beginning of registration. Think about education. I think education is wonderful in terms of basically deciding on that security, who is the one that actually got graduated, what are their certifications for going through education. So any sector you can think can combine with the blockchain technology. So I think that's real. Some of those other coins, in my opinion, when you say, should I invest in this coin versus the other, can be inflated in the time, but I think over the long run, it will stable out. And that's what even Visa and some of the other credit companies, when they say, well, why don't you go to a credit card of Bitcoin, some of the reservations are, when do I start charging, because is it the time of your transaction, is it time that you pay? Because think about, right now you have a credit card, you have 30 days to pay it, different than a debit card, right, where they take it out. So those are the things, but then when you think about, Western Union, those MoneyGrams, they're perfect for some of that blockchain technology. Okay. So thank you very much, Kevin, for coming out, and maybe we'll talk about other things that we can do together. I'll let him stay. If you have a few minutes, you can answer some of the questions with students that want.
Yeah, so basically, email me here. I'm from Miami, I moved out, but I'm back, so sort of creating a crypto community, so if any of you all.
Are you doing like meetups or?
Yeah, I'm gonna eventually set up meetups, but there are already existing meetups, so anyone interested in learning more could just get in touch with me.
Okay, and then my new students, let me stay with you, and did you set them up, Zach? We set them up, and then I can just talk to them.
I'll be outside.
Maybe, no, you can stay here if you want to go outside, yeah, okay, he wants to go outside. He was being polite, right? He can do it. Okay, and we'll discuss this more in the future. Any other questions? So let's just review what's due, because everybody's gonna run down and everybody's kind of like. What's course due, and then if you haven't, what else? And if you haven't gotten credit for the past quizzes, take those, and then try and do the first pass of that Ninja Trader. Did you get that then, Vincent, all the steps that we need to do? And we'll see, and then upload the performance sheets, and then we'll work it out just like we do every week, you know what I mean? Yeah. We'll try to improve each time. We'll do that agile development of improving each time. And if you can't get it, have someone else in your group, and then we even can combine groups sometimes, work together as teams. Okay? So stay with me, and hopefully we can make this the best, semester that everybody can get something out of it. Okay? All right.
I found a way to what was your course name? It's very